Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're unboxing a fragrance that I used to despise. Welcome in everyone. Today, we have a special treat because we're going to be unboxing a Les Abstraits fragrance. It is called Descendris. This brand has slowly, almost accidentally, and very stealthily become one of my favorite brands ever. And the reason why I say it's one of my favorite brands ever is because it has to be. I own every single fragrance from the brand. Now, with that being said, they only have 4 different fragrances, but if you own every single one, that's gotta say something. The brand of Les Abstraits is actually pretty peculiar. It's a brand owned by a YouTuber. A longtime fragrance YouTuber. His name is Eugene. He has a channel called You Smells Good, and he is a diehard perfume fanatic, a proper fragcom OG. And the way I would describe his fragrances, he makes perfume for the perfume lovers. These aren't sort of mass appealing generic scents. These are fragrances that he has an emotional connection to. These are fragrances that try to deliver a story, some sort of connection to the buyer. And there's just a lot of thought behind each and every single one of these separate creations. The other thing that's super interesting about this brand is the fact that basically it is an extension of Les Indemodables, or they at least use the same materials. You can see right here, it says Les Abstraits, L'Atelier François de Matériaux, or whatever the fuck. I don't speak French. Basically, they use the same materials as Les Indemodables, okay? And that's a huge deal because Les Indemodables is, I would be willing to say, one of the highest quality brands on the market, bar none nowadays. And the perfumer for Les Abstraits that works with Eugene is the same perfumer that perfumes all of Les Indemodables fragrances, Antoine Lee. And Antoine Lee happens to be one of my favorite perfumers of all time. So I shouldn't really be surprised that I own every single one of these because everything lines up for me to love every single fragrance. You know, you have the narrative aspect, you have the quality. It's just great. But let's get into unboxing Descendris. So off the top of my head, Descendris is the 3rd release from the house. First we had La Douleur Exquise, and then we had Belle Âme, and now Descendris. Now, one thing that's really cool with this brand is, as far as I can tell, Eugene, the brand owner himself, actually packages and ships and hand writes notes for every single order. You can see, enjoy Descendris, much love Eugene, and then he dates it. And then on the back here, we have sort of the image for Descendris. You can see this sort of foresty sort of vibe, very moodily lit forest with the shade and all of the ground cover. So that gives you an idea of what this fragrance is supposed to be. And honestly, I think that image really hits the nail on the head. So that's a bit of a background for you guys. Let's get cracking into this stuff. Presentation is pretty, straightforward. You have this nice sleeve with a little brand logo on there. It lifts off, and then the fragrance is in this very sturdy sort of drawer, and there it is. And the bottles are really nice. I'll show you up close here. So the perfume is undyed. That's actually a natural color of it. And the cap is magnetic with a little logo on there. Very, very nice. Nice atomizers as well. For presentation, it gets the job done. It's not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the juice inside. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I despised this fragrance when I initially smelled it. I think I initially sampled this alongside the rest of the brand probably about over a year ago. And this was the one I just did not connect with initially at all. And that is because there's a note in this fragrance that I could not stand at the time, which is called galbanum. Galbanum, if you've ever smelled Chanel No. 19, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It is this incredibly green, resinous, ashy note. It's an ashy greenness. And I struggled with green fragrances, and I struggled with this sort of smoky, ashy quality, and it's bitter as well. So it took a year of literally development of my taste and my palate and just understanding what I like for me to come back to revisit this. And about 2 weeks ago, I sprayed it on my skin and it came to my nose and I was like, whoa. Like, I couldn't believe how much my taste changed, and I immediately ordered a full bottle of this stuff. But let's get spraying. I need to put this on skin. So, right, I don't have anything. Let's just do the old honors here. Right. Atomizer's a little funny on this one. Maybe I need to mess with it, but oh, this stuff is crazy. So I mentioned the picture here. This is really a great representation of what this smells like. It is one of the best forest fragrances I've ever come across. It is, yeah, it's got this tiny green freshness with that sort of bitter green galbanum ashy smoky thing going on. There's definitely resinous aspects. I wouldn't be surprised if there's birch tar in here. Birch tar is traditionally quite a harsh note that was used to make leather accords back then. Famously, it's utilized in Cuir de Russie style fragrances, namely Chanel Cuir de Russie. And here you get everything. You get the pininess, the greenness, the leathery aspects. It's smoky, it's woody, it's dry. It's basically a giant 70s style masculine chypre. A lot of people compare this fragrance to a fragrance by Aramis that was released way long ago called Devon. And, you know, I watched Ramsey's video about Desandres, and he was saying Antoine Lee, the perfumer for this brand, apparently he likes to leave little throwbacks in his formulas to some of those vintage fragrances, and he thinks this fragrance is a bit of a throwback to Devon. And, you know, I've never smelled Devon, but this certainly smells dated in a way. But the quality here, I just have to emphasize, is just completely on another level. This stuff should probably be, unfortunately, maybe twice as much as what it costs. These bottles are about $240 for 100 ml. But because they use Les Indemodables materials, I mean, Les Indemodables charges $250 for 50 ml. Do you see where I'm getting at? This is half the price of the Les Indemodables fragrances. So I think these are actually incredible value for what they are, because they're long lasting, they're unique, they have a beautiful narrative aspect. You know, they're evocative. I really get an image of being in a forest, sort of just walking alone and looking at the pine cones and the pine needles and looking up at the canopy and all that sort of stuff. To me, this is a very contemplative fragrance. But the thing about this is, even though it's evocative and it has artistic elements, it's extremely wearable. You could wear this in pretty much any situation. And I would also say, even though in my opinion, it's a masculine leaning smell, I think women could pull this off as well. It would just come off as very interesting. Like, wow, you smell like a forest. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you're more new to fragrances and you've never really come across heavy green, ashy, leathery sort of smells, this might be difficult for you to take, even though I smelled a ton of different stuff before stumbling across this. It was still difficult for me to take. But again, with a little more, you know, maturity, smelling a bunch of different stuff, revisiting this, I just love it now. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And I have the 4th release from the brand on the way. That's called Philosopher's Walk. And that has to do with being this sort of powdery barbershop fougere. So very excited for that. But, you know, I guess the real lesson in this video is, if you hate a fragrance initially, just set it down, come back to it in a couple months, because you will be shocked at how fast your taste changes. And this isn't the first total 180 that I've done as I've, you know, enjoyed perfume as a hobby. I've done so many 180s and so many phenomenal fragrances that I thought I really, really disliked. but I ended up liking enough to even purchase them. So let me know if you've ever done that with a fragrance. Let me know what your first 180 has been in the comment section. And if you've never tried Les Abstraits, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by the brand anyway. I just highly recommend them. You can order samples and everything like that. I really believe that they're one of the best brands that has popped up in the past recent years. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.